Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ultimate Poster 7 debate. We asked the audience and the debate members have decorum tonight. Poster 7 has been such a heated debate, and tonight we are hope and pray to put this motherfucker to bed. You, the audience, are responsible for voting who wins. Vote now on Streamlabs on who do you think will win. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you Rogue Nation and NJ Diver. Good evening, everybody. It is the 20th of August. My name is El Sancho, and you are listening to Poster 7 Debate. I am here with my two debate panelists who have just gotten a giant round of applause. Rogue Nation, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good, Sancho. I'm doing good.
NJ Diver, say hello tonight as well.
Good evening.
Hello to the chat. As everybody knows, you are listening to the Ultimate Poster 7 debate. We asked for decorum, as I said in the chat, and asked for decorum on the debate panel. We will have a Joker round and a wildcard round tonight. What a wildcard round essentially is, they will have an opportunity, both members, to ask each other a question. They can pull that whenever they want to. Whether it's at question 4, 5, or 6, they can pull up the wildcard round, throw up the wildcard, and they're going to be good to go. Each panelist will have 2 minutes to answer a question. They will be attached to a 2-minute timer. That 2-minute timer will look like the following. This is what's called a 2-minute bomb. This 2-minute bomb will essentially go, it will start from here. In 2 minutes, it ends up here and it explodes. The second that it explodes, we move on to the next round. To the next panelist, I should say. So, what I want to do first is I want to give both panelists an opportunity to start off with a 2-minute countdown themselves. So we did a coin toss backstage. We really didn't. I just chose who to go first, and we have elected that Rogue Nation will have 2 minutes to go first. So, Mr. Nation, we are going to start the timer, and good luck.
All right. Well, I'm not sure what this 2 minutes is supposed to entail.
Introduction.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Rogue Nation, as many of you know me, and you either love me or you hate me. I'm particularly fond of post offices. I feel that a lot of times the service that we get there isn't what it should be, and that people need to pay more attention to what their government officials do. So that's pretty much all about me.
All right, NJ Diver. We are going to reset the clock, and what we essentially want you to do is introduce yourself to everybody, and let everybody know why you're here tonight, essentially.
Oh, good evening. I don't know. Yeah, there we go. I'm just here to tell the facts and let people know what the situation is and where they overstep and what can happen to them when they do.
Very well said. So we are going to get to the question and answer round. The question and answer round is essentially questions that I have predetermined that we essentially are going to flash up for each member to answer. On those question cards, it will say who should be answering it. So let's go to Let me see. NJ Diver. Should a press pass be mandatory in the post office?
No. There's no reason for it. And as it stands, press passes can be manufactured with any printer, with any type of graphics program and or any type of word processing program. So anyone can make one, and people have, and they are pretty much worthless.
Rogue Nation. Should a press pass be mandatory in a post office?
No, press pass shouldn't be mandatory at any place. When the whole ideal of the word free before press is that we're free, from government regulation, from government sponsorship or permission, I guess you could say. Along with permission, there goes the free press aspect of free press. So,
general question for those that are a little unaware of Poster 7. I'm going to flash up the question now. Is what is Poster 7? What is its purpose? Rogue, then NJ.
all right. Poster 7 is actually a condensed version of federal law, which is 39 CFR 232.1. And basically, it's conduct on postal property. And it goes over, things that's allowed, things that's not allowed, permissions needed, preservation of property, conformity with signs and directions, disturbances, alcoholic beverages, drugs, smoking. The lobbies in a lot of post offices are left open for the post office boxes. So over time, you've got problems with maybe drug users coming in and shooting up, or homeless people sleeping. There was a case in a nice circuit. So it's just basically statutes dealing with conduct on their property that the U.S. Post Office has.
NJ Diver. What is Poster 7? What is its purpose, in your opinion?
Oh, basically, it's a plain language representation of the Code of Federal Regulations, which are regulations, not statutes, but they have the effect of law.
My next question, we're going to start off with Rogue. Do you really need a postmaster's permission to film?
That's a good question. It depends on what you want to take pictures of, just like Poster 7 says.
NJ Diver, do you really need postmaster permission to film?
If he refuses you to film, then you have to stop filming. The other side of that is the locations where this poster, which is again based on the Code of Federal Regulations, says you can film, does not necessarily mean you can film in all areas that the public has access to.
Does anyone want to use their wild card yet? No.
I don't know. I don't know what the wild card is.
A question you have for the other person. So if anyone has a question they want to ask NJ, if you want to ask Lee your Rogue a question, you can, and vice versa. That's what the wild card is. We have what's called a joker tonight. What a joker is one member from the public chat is allowed to hop on and defend and push for the vote for either party. And we will have those two individuals come on and have a little mini debate on why one of you should win. So let's move on. NJ Diver, is the issue with filming in a post office when it crosses the line to a disturbance?
That's up to the behavior of the individual doing the filming and exactly where it is he's doing it.
Rogue?
What was the question again?
Is the issue with filming in a post office pending on if the person causes a disturbance?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, the important thing to remember here is that Poster 7 or the CFR 232.1, that is promulgated by the Postmaster General. So any permissions given out within this is coming right from the top of the post office. So unless there's specific incidents of you know, somebody filming people's credit card numbers or, like you said, creating a disturbance, no postmaster has the right to revoke what the Postmaster General has already given in the CFR. That would be ridiculous to assume that a postmaster would have that ability. That's just like saying that a cop has the ability to trespass anybody he wants in a public park at any time.
Mr. Diver, do you have a response?
And basically the same thing. Behavior, behavior, behavior. If you're obnoxious to the employees or other customers there, if you're interrupting the flow of business, they can trespass you.
NJ Diver, do you see the point at all in auditing a post office?
Well, I ran across a group who, as a hobby, takes pictures of post offices. And according to their blog, their group have been to over 10,000 post offices in every state and territory of the United States. And they're of the belief that if you are told to cease and desist, you are to cease and desist. I would assume that because of the frequency, or I should say the quantity of post offices they have visited without incident, that they pretty much, instead of walking in brazenly with their cameras going, they actually go and talk to the supervisor and or postmaster if he's there and get permission first.
Rogue, why do you audit post offices?
You know, I do post offices because, again, they're part of the public's money that's going out. Two, because I love the architecture on a lot of the old post offices. I mean, they're really nice. Um, so I like going in them. I like seeing them. Um, and again, you know, at the post offices are usually one of the places where, you know, service is really lacking for the citizens, and unfortunately, you know, unlike a fast food place or something like this with government entities, you're kind of stuck with who you got. You know, if you got a postman that, you know, steals your Hustler magazine every month that you pay for, and you know, you go and you complain to the postmaster at your local post office, you know, and nothing gets done, and stuff like that. There's an ingrained uh, attitude, I guess, when you go to see these people that work in these public offices. You know, I don't know anybody that could deny that. I don't know anybody that doesn't complain about the red tape or the supposed bureaucracy or the ever increasing amount of taxes that are being hefted upon us. And then, you know, still, you know, turn the cheek to trying to keep an eye on these people.
So, question in the chat is: the post office is not a traditional public forum. All postmasters have the authority to administer what happens in their post office. NJ Diver, we'll start with you. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Rogue Nation, do you agree with that?
You know, again, to a certain point, you know, I've showed you guys, and I'll continue to show you guys videos where the postmaster absolutely wants me trespassed, and that doesn't happen. And again, the reason for that is because what the Postmaster General is given permission for, the Postmaster cannot thus take it away. So unless I am causing a disturbance, which I never usually am, if you know, and again, there are guys that do that, and I know that, and you know, um, and again, I can't be lumped in with those folks, but I'm just saying for me, um, the Postmaster General has already given us permission to do these photographs, and it says so right in there. It says, listen, at the bottom of the paragraph that's for photographs for news and advertising or commercial purposes, it says two words: other photographs. Okay, it doesn't say all photographs, and there's a reason. Okay, in law, you know, NJ Diver tried to say that, you know, it's a plain English meaning, you know, but the law is never a plain English meaning. Okay, but logically, when someone says other photographs may be taken only with the permission, we realize that other doesn't mean all, so that some photographs have already been given permission to be taken. And the only other photographs it talks about in the whole law is the one for news, advertising, and commercial purposes in the lobby. So that permission has already been granted to us, okay, by the Postmaster General. That's why it doesn't say all photographs may be taken only with the permission of the local postmaster. Okay, there's logically there's no argument against that. How can you logically argue against other or all photographs? It's either one or the other.
NJ Diver, your response.
Basically, as I said earlier, it's the location where you're at and the way it reads. If I can find it here.
I'm gonna pull it up in a minute too. I'm just taking a screen. I'm taking a screenshot and blowing it up. So we'll put it up on the screen. So I'm gonna put that big part in the screen because that's a big topic, and I think that's that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rogue. That's the number one roadblock between pro and against this. Correct?
Right.
All right. So here we go. Oh, give it a minute. It's loading. Feel free to jump in, anybody, while I try to stall.
So basically, when you get it up, it's going to say entrances, lobbies, foyers, corridors, or auditoriums when used for public meetings.
I gotta redo it. I don't know why it's not working. So, what is the number one discrepancy road, in your opinion, with that part of Poster 7?
I mean, it is pretty straightforward as far as, you know, what's the mechanisms to stop people from doing this. One being official signs or directions of security force personnel or other authorized personnel or a federal court order or rule. Here's the thing. If the United States Postal Service, the Postmaster General, wanted photographs to not be taken in the lobbies without express permission, okay, it would be set up that way. And we know this because the Social Security office is set up just like this, okay? And in the law for the Social Security office, it states that if there's a sign up in the Social Security office, you're not allowed to take photographs in there. Now, I've been to a Social Security office. Let me ask you this. How many audits do you guys see at Social Security offices?
And
damn near gotten arrested for it.
How many?
One foolish one.
Okay, so out of 15,000 audits, you've seen one of a Social Security office, right?
That went inside, yeah.
Okay, so why do you think that is? Why do you think only one audit out of 15,000 were done at a Social Security office? Why not more?
It's the two signs in two different languages that were videotaped in the foyer before the person went in and got told to leave immediately by a security guard.
Right, absolutely. Because in the law for the Social Security office, even in the public areas, it says if there's a sign there, you cannot record, correct?
Blurry. Shit.
Let's see you far up.
Is that blurry? That's too blurry. Shit. I got a blurry version of it.
I don't see it.
Yeah, it's too blurry. Let me zoom in on it from the computer screen. Zoom in on it from the. Anybody got any questions in the chat? Please hit us up with the questions in the chat.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make of these signs here is that auditors don't go to the Social Security office because those signs are legally binding. It says so right in the law. If there's a sign there, you can't record in the office. And the same thing goes here with the poster 7. It says right in there that if there's official signs, then you're not allowed to photograph in there.
Other photographs may be taken only with the permission of the local postmaster at installation head.
Yeah, just for everybody's identification, I put the URL for this regulation in the chat.
It's more readable on your screen than it is my screen. It's interesting. So, what is the ultimate debate here, NJ, with your big bone with the perception of news and advertising against what others think on the other side, NJ? Are you there, NJ?
Yeah, like I said, my mic has difficulties. I didn't quite hear what you said.
I wanted to talk about the biggest bone you have with what you hear, Rogue and others say about the news and advertising aspect and the last sentence. Why is that last sentence, the sentence we just read, why is that such a hot topic?
Well, basically, what it's, at least I believe it's referring to, is any other area that the public is not allowed to go. If you want to film in the sorting area, or if you want to film in the back rooms, or if you want to film on the loading dock or out in the parking lot, you got to get permission. Absolutely, because you're not allowed to be there.
Rogue Nation, is it safe to say you're on the freedom trail as far as right to film, freedom of press? Is that a safe assumption?
Yes, sir.
So, what is your bone to pick with what NJ just said?
Actually, nothing. He has it absolutely correct. That's what other photographs may be taken only with the permission of the local postmaster means. Okay? And again, the thing that we're missing here is the word other and the word all. Okay? We obviously know that people just can't come back there if you got a camera and go back behind the desk and just start walking around and taking pictures back in the back. Okay? I don't think anybody's that stupid ever. Okay? So what is the difference between other and all? Okay? If it says all photographs, that means photographs taken in the foyers, entrance lobbies, means that need their permission, right? That's what all photographs would mean, correct?
NJ?
All means all, if that's what it says.
Okay. So it doesn't say all, does it? It says other photographs. So we know there's photographs that we don't need to ask permission for. What would those photographs be?
Anything other than is listed in the beginning sentence.
Okay, because we already have permission for those.
Are you aware of the internal memos and the other documents for internal documents that they use in the post office?
Absolutely. But what I'm asking you though is, what are the other photographs that we already have permission to take? What photographs do we have permission to take? Since it
All
doesn't say
right,
all photographs.
I'll
What
read
what
from
photographs what
I'll read
photographs do we
from
have permission for?
To answer your question, I'll quote from a postal bulletin 22228 from March 13th of '08. Photography and filming for personal use. Informal snapshots from handheld cameras for personal use may be allowed at the postmaster's discretion, provided that there is no disruption to postal service operations and that the pictures are taken from areas accessible to the public. In these cases, no prior permission is required from the post office. Oh, I'm sorry, from the Office of Rights and Permissions. However, no lighting or scaffolding may be set up, and no picture can depict any postal service employee, customer, security camera, or cover of mail, i.e., exterior of a mail piece, which would show customer's name and address, among other things. Postmasters may restrict any and all photography if they determine that it is disruptive or there is potential security concerns. And I will post the URL for that in the chat.
Rogue Nation,
Okay.
your response.
So what you're saying in there is that postal regulation that you read, which isn't what I was talking about, but that postal regulation that you read, that applies to
It's not a
two
regulation.
or internal memo, excuse me.
It's a
That
postal bulletin that comes out regularly to
okay,
all postal employees and management.
okay. And what you're saying there is that bulletin is saying that it's okay for the regular citizens to take pictures as long as they're not disruptive or need scaffolding or lighting. Is that basically it? Is that what it says?
That's what it says.
Okay, so if the bulletin says it's okay for regular citizens to go in there and take photographs and pictures, uh, do you think they would exclude the press, that the press would need to get permission if a normal citizen doesn't to do the same thing?
I would have to have a legal definition of the press.
Um, let's see, what did the Supreme Court say? It's anybody with a message and a means to disseminate the message on a matter of public interest. Would that be a good enough definition? Or
I don't know that there is a significant legal definition of the press.
okay, so let me see if I can pull up something here.
I mean, I have two different internal memos that came out in the last couple of years. They're available for anybody that wants to go over to either fanclub.com, FAANCLUB.com, in the documents area. You'll find the U.S. Postal Service and pretty much all the documents I'll be posting here tonight. Or if you're in Discord, you can go to the Civil Rights Unites. All of them are in there as well.
So we are officially in our joke around, where two people from the public chat are able to come on panel and vouch for either NJ or Rogue and sway the votes. Right now, the votes are going back and forth. Multiple people have changed their votes from initial. We have over 16 people voting so far. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody still vote, 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 vote. I will post the panel link if I already haven't. And that way we will allow 2 people, 1 from each camp, to come on and essentially defend why this individual should win this debate tonight. Because at the end of the day, it's not up to me. It's up to you. It's up to the people here. That's who it's up to. NJ Diver, is filming in a post office pointless? And if so, why?
Is what?
Is filming in a post office pointless? And if so, why?
At this point in time, pretty much, except for some personal interest in what the inside of a post office looks like. If someone wants to build some sort of photo album somewhere, which this one organization that I mentioned earlier does as a hobby. And I will say there are quite a few post offices in this country that are from the early 19th century that have beautiful architecture in it and deserve to be preserved in photos. But your local mall store, strip mall, post office, generically built within the last 50 years, really has no interest other than someone going in to cause an issue, to cause themselves to be accosted by the local law enforcement and get clicks and views, monetization, and donations.
So we got a busy backstage. We're going to give people an opportunity to come up and vouch for who they should vote for and why. We're going to give these people 2 minutes each to sway the public and sway their vote flat out. A lot has been discussed in a very short period of time. We're only a half hour in, and we're already getting to a lot of good details. So I'm going to bring up Taco Josh, who is here to vote for NJ Diver. He wants you to vote for NJ Diver. I am going to give Josh 2 minutes on why NJ Diver should get the vote, starting now.
All right. I'm just going to give NJ Diver his credit. I mean, he comes at you with the full library of facts. He gives you the full rule, not only just the full rule, but everything surrounding it, the definitions, the extra facts around them, so that there is no question of what the meaning is to the rule. There's no cherry picking. It's everything with it. And he leaves no question with it. Whereas with auditors, they cherry pick certain sayings and then leave out the rest, so it fits their narrative. It's pure facts with NJ, and that's what you gotta go with. I don't even need the full 2 minutes. That's how good he is.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna knock you backstage for the time being. We are going to wait for someone to come up to vote for Rogue Nation. Rogue has gotten quite a few votes, so if anybody wants to hop on the panel, we just heard Josh. Josh is going to be waiting patiently backstage for anybody to kind of, disagree with him, and then we'll potentially bring Josh back up and let's see if we can get a little mini debate with people who are debating with the debaters. If that makes any sense.
If I may, I have one other thing to consider. Is there anywhere in Poster 7 or any of the other CFRs dealing with this subject the word retail or retail space or retail area listed?
Yeah, actually, there is, NJ, and what you'll want to look through is the Postal Operations Manual.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay, so what you're looking for, the gift card displays and the Hallmark greeting card displays.
They have the retail area is for selling retail. One of the things that the post office has changed into because of an act from back in the 90s, I believe, 96, it was told that because it was running at a deficit for the previous 100-something years, that they had to run themselves a little bit better so that they're not subsidized by tax money, other than, of course, for their employees' benefits and retirement, which they still are, by the way. They were told that they had to basically become a business in the sense that they had to collect revenue enough to support themselves. And
Yeah.
that's part of the reason that you've seen huge increases in the cost of a stamp in the last 50 years or so. And the other reasons are lately have been political. And by the way, the Postmaster General of the United States is an appointed position. It's a political appointment.
Right, right. Thanks. Okay. So basically, what I wanted to say was in that postal operations manual, if you know where they put the gift cards and the Hallmark cards and stuff like that, look in the postal operations manual for where that
Looking at the
stuff is.
section right now dealing with photography.
No, this has nothing to do with photography. You want to go to the postal operations manual and you want to look and find out where those are supposed to be located with inside the post office. And you'll see, like I did, that those are always located in the lobby, not the retail area, but the lobby is what it's called. And that's where they're located in every post office, in the lobby.
Not my post office.
Like I said, it's in the postal operations manual. Check out where
Yeah.
those
That's
those
fine.
are located.
Have you been to another post office besides your own?
Hold on. We're on CNN, CNBC, and NBC. I got to introduce you first, my guy. We gotta be professional. You deserve an introduction.
Professional.
Let them finish their thing, and then I'll bring you up as Road Nation's wild card. I just didn't want you to lead backstage.
Yeah, no, I heard that he had no one.
Well, he's got votes. It's just people don't see the thing with Rogue, and you can back me up on this. He doesn't need help, but we
right,
want
and
somebody
Rogue
to
can back me up on this. I don't want to be here.
Oh wow! Well, that hurt. Jesus.
No,
Christ.
not nothing personal. It's just it's been a long couple days, man. Primary elections and all that.
Let me give you your 2 minutes now to vouch for Rogue and let the public know. Rights Crispy, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe to Rights Crispy. You got 2 minutes, Rights. The floor is yours.
All right, thanks for having me on. Rogue Nation and I have been to many post offices, and every time we've gone to one, we always check the Google reviews and check and see. Well, not every time. I'm sorry. Most of the time, we check the Google reviews to find out which post office we're going to go visit. And they usually have problems with people stealing stuff. I got here late. I don't know if you already covered this, Rogue. But there is a valid reason. And contrary to what I read, Desert Sentinel, I like you, man. What he wrote was that there has never been a positive change. You can actually go to News Now South Florida's channel and see a follow-up to my first post office audit in Fort Myers, where there were 3 people or some people who hadn't gotten their mail in 3 months. Well, he did a follow-up, and the way that the person was acting there she got fired and was replaced. Aside from that, I heard the question is like, there's no legal definition for the press. I think there is, and we the people are the press. Everybody has that right. If you're in the United States, you have freedom of press. And the reason we go in there is not to make a quick buck. I'm a multi-thousandaire. I don't need that. I don't need to risk my life and liberty for that. We go in there because there's a need for it. And if people are stealing packages for over a year, we're going to go in there and keep an eye on them, and they're probably going to stop once they know that somebody is watching them. And that's one of the main reasons. There are several other peripheral reasons why we go into the post office, and the Poster 7 allows that. Thank you.
And I was expecting an atomic explosion. Oh, well.
Thank you for listening, New Jersey Diver, too.
I'm always here to listen.
What's up, Rogue?
How's it going, sir?
Good. Just did my meal prep for the week. Who's up
Well,
next?
I don't know what round are we in now?
Yeah, if I may, real quick, someone had a question about the Postal Operations Manual. Basically, the section that I posted a moment ago with the URL to find it says exactly the same thing that the CFR and pretty much Poster 7 says. Section 124, Conduct on Postal Property, subsection 124.58, photographs for news, advertising, or commercial purposes, exactly verbatim what the CFR says. Photographs for news purposes may be taken in entrances, lobbies, foyers, corridors, or auditoriums when used for public meetings, except as prohibited by official signs, the directions of postal police officers, other authorized personnel, or a federal court order or rule. Other photographs may be taken with the permission of the local postmaster or installation head. And that's directly from the Postal Operations Manual.
What page is that?
I don't know. Section 24.58.
Okay. Taco, you there?
Yep.
Do you have rebuttal to rights?
Pretty much NJ just dropped the bomb right there for most of that. Rights is saying how, they're there to prevent, employees from stealing packages and this and that. They don't get to see the back, what's going on in the background. They're seeing, the front counter employees, so they're not really doing anything with that. So I don't see how they're really causing change there. All they're doing is basically filming the public and the front counter employees. So,
Rights, your response?
Yeah, no, we get to see in the back sometimes. Aside from that, I just saw somebody who was, in this day and age, in today's current climate, the post office is headline news. And one of our auditors went out there. I don't remember who it was, but they recorded a bunch of postal trucks getting towed away, I guess, to make it seem like they don't have enough trucks to run the business. And that was done in the middle of the night. They had a bunch of tow trucks come out. Did anybody else see that? So it doesn't sound like I'm making this up. No one else.
No, I didn't get to see it. I didn't see that. No.
Well,
Are
that
you
happened.
aware? Are you aware of what else has been in the news lately, where major sorting machines have been removed and or idled on site outdoors in a couple of cases, garaged in one or two others, and as well as certain local drop-off mailboxes suddenly missing?
How did you find out about that?
My in-laws lost at least one in their neighborhood. I haven't been out and about really looking, mainly because the other day my area got hit by a tornado, so we're busy trying to clean up after that. And I'm thanks to the pandemic, I don't get out as much as I used to.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to check the one post office mailbox that it's in my neighborhood. I just didn't go out that way this morning.
Yeah, no, I was asking rhetorically, like you said, have you seen what's in the news? And then I said, how did you find out about that? Because somebody
That's how I
went in-
found out about it. That was on major, probably NBC or ABC.
Right. So somebody went in there and recorded it and did exercise their freedom of the press.
Well, they didn't have to. They could stand on the sidewalk and videotape most of it. And the one in the garage, I believe, it was a door left open that they were
Yeah.
a side door left open. They were able to zoom in on it.
Yeah, and that's the one particular instance of how they got that one part of that information. But there are 100 stories out there every day, and we happen to catch 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah,
Once
it's going to get interesting, especially since my governor came out the other day about doing the national voting by mail.
I want to call up a Desert Sentinel. Come on up. He's in the chat. He's my professor. Come on up. Josh just hopped off. A Taco just hopped off, so we want to make sure the numbers are even. So Desert, come on up. Taco's back up, actually. Both of you guys can come up. All right, so Taco's back up. So let's start off with some questions. The chat has been rolling like crazy tonight. Thank you, chat, for your participation in this. Thank you to the panelists for hopping on, contributing. Ed has a question. El Sancho, please ask Rogue, and I'm going to include Wrights with this as well. Please ask Rogan Wrights if he has ever been denied the ability to record in the post office. If yes, have they challenged that denial in a civil court? If yes, what was the outcome? If no, why not? We'll start with Rogue, then we'll go to Wrights.
All right, great. Yeah, I have been denied the ability to record in the post office. One of my first videos, I was trespassed from the Leesburg, Florida post office. It was before I had started filing civil suits, and so I never really took it in a civil direction. I have been back to that post office since then, and I did not get trespassed when I went back the second time. I believe that is the only post office that I've been trespassed from in about 2 years of doing this.
What inspired you to audit a post office? And honestly, did you know that it was going to be an issue, which is why you got into it?
No, I'm kind of OCD when I get involved with something. So when if I'm out here doing public buildings, I got to do every public building. If it's taxpayer funded or it's been taxpayer funded, like even if let's say even if the post office now survives on selling stamps, these Goliath marble and quartz and beautiful monstrosities of post offices that they are in were built with taxpayer money. Okay, they didn't sell stamps to buy that mansion of a post office and all these little burgs like Birmingham and Montgomery. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of money spent on these things, especially during the 30s and the height of the Great Depression. You're walking and you're seeing these things and the amount of money it costs. But so if it's a public building, I'm going to try to go by it. And like I said, to me, it's just about accountability. It's about the fact that for so long, people in authority have not had anybody looking over their shoulder except for their buddy who they play golf with and go out to the country club with, and their wives are in the same racquetball club. So that isn't really the kind of people I'm looking to have look over these people. And then we wake up one morning and we're like, what the heck's what's going on? Why don't we have these freedoms? Why does it cost me $10 permit to have a garage sale to sell my used items and whatever else have you not?
NJ Diver, what was your first reaction when you seen someone audit a post office on YouTube?
Basically, why?
Rogue Nation, do you understand the other side of the fence logic on why?
Yeah, psychologically, we all have core beliefs that pretty much form our reality. It's the perception that our beliefs are funneled through. So, there's always two sides of a debate, and there always will be. There's always the for and there's against. Doesn't matter what you pick, you know. So that's the way the powers that be want us. Divided we fall, and as it stands now, like I said, there's always for and against, and usually it's based on emotion, personal experience, just a whole bunch of bad stuff. Government schooling is another, great place where our beliefs were formed. Our loved ones. Let me ask you guys a question real quick, something that you could think about tonight as you go to bed. I've asked every man I've ever known this question. No one's been able to answer it.
I
When you
won't kiss you. I told you I will not kiss you.
No, when you first went and got your first job, and the gentleman or lady that hired you told you that you needed a social security card or number to work in the United States or to get a job or whatever, what person out there listening on the panel, wherever, what person out there asked them to show them the law that stated that they needed to have that number in order to work in the United States?
Nobody, because of the education and the exposure wasn't available at the time.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is define job.
Well, job is where, somebody pays you for work.
I think people have always been questioning, but it's growing more and more in time. So the percentage is always going to go up. So I can say that there was a percentage, but it was a very small percentage at that time. Do I think there's a stronger percentage now because of the education on their rights is there? Absolutely.
Well, what's
Well,
interesting what's interesting is the premise that every job requires a social security number. I worked odd jobs and other things for money from the age of probably 10 or 11 until I was 15. And when I turned 15, I got a job with Friendly Ice Cream Corporation, which was the first time I had ever, actually, I think that was 71. Good 70, I worked in a deli and I pretty much got paid under the table. But basically, what that Social Security number does for you is it allows you, after a certain amount of time, after you've paid in a certain amount of money, to have a source of money when you get too old to work. It's called your Social Security benefit. I've been benefiting for that for the last 3 years, and I'm benefiting from it now. But what's interesting is I'm still paying into it because I still have to pay taxes on the money that I made that wasn't taxed in my pension that was cashed out, and the money in my 401k that didn't get taxed that I'm now pulling out of it on a monthly basis. So I've been paying taxes since somewhere around 1970, 1971, and still am.
Did I answer the question, Rogue?
No, I don't think you did, sir.
Fuck off. I was all celebrating because you said no one's answered the question, and I answered it in 3 seconds.
Yeah, no.
No?
I mean, did you ask that gentleman when you got your first job, Sancho, to show you the law that required you to have the Social Security number?
I answered it from the other side where I gave it up because I didn't question it because the education wasn't there like it is now.
The other
Right,
side of
right.
it is his answer is going to be when you ask him that question is, there's the door.
Well, right. But the point I'm trying to make here is that sometimes information is passed along that's a myth, and it's perpetrated by people not questioning There's absolutely no law that states that you have to have a Social Security card or number to work in the United States. The head of the Social Security Administration has been on TV and admitted to that. It's a voluntary program. It's always been voluntary, but in order to get certain benefits like the earned income tax credit and different stuff like that, you have to have that number. So it's not mandatory, but they do make it very hard to live without it. And you got to definitely know the law, but there's absolutely no law that mandates you having a Social Security number to work or live in the United States. It's not mandatory.
So, rights. This question that we were asking you earlier, and you had some phone issues. If you've ever been denied the ability to record in a post office, if yes, have you ever challenged it in court? And if so, what was the outcome? Civil court.
No, actually, and I don't think Rogue was there, but if anybody has seen the Pembroke Pines video, the postal inspector came out and he said it's a shame that postal employees don't know the law, don't know their rights.
Hello, Kimmy. How are you? Oh, no, she's loaded. So, are you there, Kimmy?
What's interesting as well is that the postal union is supposed to educate them.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, there are a lot of people who are against us doing this, and is it because you were a postal employee yourself and
Somebody's on the speaker here. That
Timmy,
needs
you're
to be
on.
a headset.
I think you're listening and you're on. You're listening to the show and you're on. Yeah, can you turn that off?
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yep.
So what?
That's not better. That's not better.
Look, I'm not under the impression that the post office works on tax dollars. I'm aware that it's a quasi-federal agency.
No, it
Oh,
is a federal agency, not quasi. That's been determined by the Supreme Court.
Okay, I stand corrected, but from my understanding is that from the definitions that I've seen when I looked this up, and from people hating on me, they're like, "Hey, it's quasi." Anyways, whatever it is, it does work off of postal stamps, right? Off of postage. Isn't that their main source of revenue? There are subsidies that the government gives them, but
in the billions.
Right.
But it's not
the fact that the subsidies and the postage is all controlled by Congress, who is we the people, right?
Depending how you look at it.
How else would you look at Congress, the representatives of we the people?
Right. Congress is voted by the people. Their representation is supposed to be from our wishes. When really is the first time in the last century that that's actually happened.
Yeah.
Hey, Kim, I want to give you the floor if your mic thing's all set and kind of see who you're voting for and where you're swaying.
I'm kind of bummed out that Desert Sentinel isn't here because I really would enjoy talking to him.
I think he's
at work, so he can get away with a few comments in the chat, but I don't believe he can come on.
Yeah,
Okay.
I told him he was one of the inspirations for me to start doing this.
All right, Kim, you there?
Am I good now?
Yep, the floor is yours.
Okay, yeah. So, the whole deal I have with, I entered this community about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And the last couple months, I've seen everybody jumping on everybody, and they're forgetting what this community is. I came into it because I was abused by law enforcement in my little rural town. I first became aware of Eric Brandt, and then I started looking closer to my area, and I found Rogue, and I found Wrights Crispy, and News Now South Carolina. I'm down, in the South, and I see this just picking and choosing. What I feel like I see Rogue doing is that he is exposing. See, because now you can't even go into a federal building. You can go into like a city building. You can't go in a federal building now. All these federal people, they don't even have to work. I mean, they're just like chilling out at the house on their they don't have to go into the office. And he's trying to expose that. And
Well,
whether it be starting from the post office, and yeah, we've all known everybody's missed this check or that check, or I'm trying to send my son's debit card to Colorado and can't get it done. There's nobody there. So I'm aggravated at people jumping on people like Roe because he's trying to expose this lackadaisical attitude that the government has. It's just like, and everybody, everybody here in Georgia, all my friends on Facebook, all the ones that are okay in the shutdowns and the masks and all that kind of crap, they either work for the government, or they're on some kind of disability, or they're okay with it. So I want exposure. I don't want this hands on my life anymore. We are free. We're supposed to be free.
Thank you. NJ Diver, what's your response to that?
Well, basically, the security in this country changed in September of 2001, 9/11,
No.
and the Patriot Act gave the federal government quite a bit of authority on how it runs access to its buildings. In many major federal buildings now, you can't get in without having to go through security checkpoint.
It was
post
beefed up by the
office-
National Defense Authorization Act in 2009, I think. Obama made it even stronger and more
yes, and to a certain
against
extent,
our rights. Yeah, we lost everything except like the Third Amendment, where they can't stage troops in our house. But if you are deemed a terrorist, like one of the reporters at the Standing Rock, the pipeline protests, she was an NPR reporter, and she went on Facebook Live, and the sheriff was able to take her to jail, no habeas corpus when her lawyer showed up or anything, and held her indefinitely until they got her to comply and give over her video. They said that she was inciting terrorism by going on Facebook Live, and they used the NDAA to detain her without presenting her body habeas corpus to her lawyer. That happened, folks.
and was probably illegal. Did she follow through with
Yeah,
a civil
of course.
suit?
I'm sure. This is NPR, one of the biggest people in NPR. I forgot her name.
Well,
I don't listen to them that much.
post the URLs that shows the resolution of that, if you will. What I was trying to say earlier was that when all of that changed with these new laws that Bush passed that were also supposedly upgraded by Obama and supposedly downgraded by Obama when the NSA got caught looking at people's emails.
Who got
One
caught?
of the things that hasn't changed is You can still go into a post office without a security check. You can still go into a Social Security Administration building without a security check. You can go into most local government offices without a security check. There are certain high risk areas like courthouses that still do that. And anytime a municipal building or their uh, uh, township councilor or whatever hall that they have turns into a courtroom, yeah, that gets a security check. But you still have most of your basic freedoms. And believe it or not, your First Amendment has limits. And the
Hey,
one who's
DPN, I'm here to
and the
back up
ones who have
Rogue.
set up those limits are the Supreme Court of the United States, called the public forum doctrine. You need to look that up and study a little bit about it. Anybody that wants to do audits or cop watching or cop blocking
Or
needs
gonzo
to study
journalism.
this stuff.
Yeah, hold on. Let me interject there because I want to stop you, NJ, because I'm still waiting on you to cite that case law of where the court has restricted free press by the forum test. So I know everybody likes to say, well, you know, the post office is a limited public forum and city hall's a limited public forum, but no one has still presented case law that states that the free press is restricted by the forum test. We
Because
know
the free press knows not to bother going after it. Because the free press knows they'll lose. Why do you think in over 100 years of them being able to communicate across the country within seconds, and now with the internet across the world within seconds, that they haven't bothered to go after it? Because they don't want to waste their money and their lawyers' times.
What do you mean? Who doesn't want to go after it? You're losing me.
Talking about the press, right? The fourth estate.
Yes, I'm wondering why the government hasn't prosecuted one of these auditors that go into City Hall under the forum test. Why hasn't an auditor been prosecuted under the forum test for right to free press?
Because most municipalities in this country haven't bothered to set up an ordinance other than Punta Gorda, Florida, and Overland Park City, Kansas, the two that I know of, have set up limited public forums on all of their municipal properties.
Well, that's not exactly true on Punta Gorda.
Yeah, it is. If you go there, as far as I know, they haven't repealed that ordinance.
Actually,
Give
I'm
them a
going to be
chance to
going
talk
there.
about it.
I'm going to be going there, but the information can be found in the judge's opinion for the denial of Mr. Andrew Sheets' injunction down there. And what the judge stated.
That had nothing to do with that. That had to do with him photographing inside a police station in violation of a sign that said no
Moderator?
recording.
What the judge stated was that Andrew Sheets still has the ability to go into the buildings and photograph the walls. He's not restricted from going in the building and recording.
We can discuss that on another debate. At this point, I'll give you a rather old Supreme Court case. It's Utah Power and Light versus United States, the U.S. Supreme Court, 1917. Quote, and so we are of opinion that the inclusion within a state of lands of the United States does not take from Congress the power to control their occupancy and use, to protect them from trespass and injury, and to prescribe the conditions upon which others may obtain rights in them, even though this may involve the exercise in some measure of what commonly is known as police power. Now, granted, that's a little different English because it's over 100 years old. But I'll give you another one. Postal Service versus Council of Greenbow Civic Association, U.S. Supreme Court 1981. Quote, in all these cases, this court recognized the First Amendment does not guarantee access to property simply because it is owned or controlled by the government. In Greer versus Spock Supra, which means above, the court cited approvingly from its earlier opinion in Adderley versus Florida Supra, which was quoted above, wherein it explained, quote, the state, no less than a private property owner, has power to preserve the property under its control for the use to which it is lawfully dedicated. I have other cases if you'd like to hear them. Well, one other
Jay,
in this list.
do you think that we have government overreach that treat the citizens like crap? Just answer me that, just straight out.
Sure. Are police officers human beings or automatons?
Oh, well,
I didn't understand a word of that.
and
Okay,
that's
and-
questionable. They become law enforcement officers, and they are not community. They're not for the community anymore.
Okay, and Jay, let me rebut your case law, sir, with some of my own, and that'll go right to the point of that. And
Rogue has read Isaac Asimov, so he knows what an automaton is too.
the more an owner, for his advantage, opens up his property for use by the public in general, the more do his rights become circumscribed by the statutory and constitutional rights of those who use it. That's Republic Aviation Corp versus Labor Board 324 US 793. And then it goes on.
What court?
The owners of privately held bridges, ferries, turnpikes, and railroads may not operate them as freely as a farmer does his farm, since these facilities are built and operated primarily to benefit the public, and since their operation is essentially a public function, aka post office, it is subject to state regulation. And though the issue is not directly analogous to the one before us, we do want to point out by way of illustration that such regulation may not result in an operation of these facilities, even by privately owned companies, which unconstitutionally interferes with and discriminates against interstate commerce.
Is that the Supreme Court, district, or appeals court?
That is the United States Court, Republic Aviation Corp versus Labor Board, 324 US 793.
That doesn't answer my question. What level is that?
United States
Is it a
Supreme
federal?
Court.
Is it a state court? Is
That
it
sounds like a
court?
federal court of appeals. Which district was it?
Which circuit is the
Circuit.
appeals?
Circuit.
District is lower than circuit.
Right, circuit.
Supreme Court is overall.
We're gonna be pedantic. Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm being factual.
Yeah, right. So circuit, which circuit?
Gentlemen,
Does it matter?
Yeah.
It's case
gentlemen.
law. Okay.
No,
it's
because
United-
all right, let me put it to you this way. A district court can affect state law. A federal district court can affect state law. A circuit court of appeals can affect the states that belong to its circuit. A U.S. Supreme Court decision affects the entire nation.
Okay. Now again, the
No
case
kidding.
site. Again, the case site 324 US 793. Okay, that tells you all you need to know right there. 324 US 793. What case? What court gave that case? NJ.
I don't know. I am not a legal eagle. I am not even close to even being a paralegal.
That's a United States Supreme Court ruling. That's what the U.S. is for. That's what the U.S. is between the 324 and the 793.
Yeah, like a Florida case number would start with FL.
Hey, Rogue, I have a stupid question, and I'm hoping that you might know the answer. What law allowed all our federal buildings to video us? Was that I mean, was it posed as a bill? I mean, that we need after 9/11 that we need to video everyone, or how did we give our permission to be videoed in every federal, state, and local?
The NDAA and the Patriot Act. But why are people so fervently fighting against our rights to keep up and keep an eye on our government? Like, what like loyalty do you guys have to the post office when you've lost mail? I mean, how does that happen? And how do you find out how it's happening unless you look? And why are you so mad that we're checking on our services? And it's not
Right.
just the post office. We go to City Hall and we always ask for the CAFR to find out how our money is being spent. And you'd be surprised. My local city manager just gave himself a raise of, anyways, he's getting paid almost $200,000 to manage this local city. Sorry, Wolfie. Wolfie's calling. Wolfie gladly, y'all. But, I mean, do you think that it's okay for the DMV people to be getting paid $54,000 a year and $75,000 a year to run the DMV like a crap and treat you like crap for you to ask permission to do what you should be able to do already? And just to have like something that they could tag on to fine you and charge you a whole bunch of other stuff when your kids' teachers aren't getting paid that much. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
look at this stuff. And on top of that, 3 years ago, we weren't looking, and they sold our private information to telemarketers, metadata brokers, and bill collectors. So if you rent, they can't find you through property search. They got it for $77 million, right, Rogue? Our servants literally sold us out.
Yeah, that's
So what do
exactly
you have?
right.
What's the problem you have with us looking for that? Rogue and I found them having a gingerbread house building party in December, paying themselves overtime. You want to argue against that? Why? They're paying themselves overtime because they were morale building with gingerbread house building because they had too much work.
And I can't understand why people are fighting. They're so deprived of true news, like you guys going out, and they want to attack everybody with a cell phone. I don't understand that.
So let me ask you this question. I'm going to kind of ask I'm going to ask Wrights and Lee. Why do you think a camera can fix things? We'll start with Wrights, then we'll go to Rogue.
Well, it's not just cameras, it's social media. And you guys remember the Arab Spring? That started through Facebook. A lot of things are happening all over the world through social media. People are blowing their brains out because they want to keep up with the Joneses, watching people on Instagram and getting pissed off at themselves. And people want to kill me and my wife and my kids for doing this. You think that's right? I'm going to keep doing it because I don't want my kids to grow up in a country full of tyrants telling them that they can't video into the loading bay where they're collecting votes at our local supervisor of elections. And I mean, I lost my train of thought. It's infuriating. I'm giving up a lot.
You're giving video that MSM is not giving. You're out there doing it and not being corrupted by a political party.
So, NJ, do you think a camera is effective in a post office? And if not, why?
A security camera that they have in there, yeah, their internal cameras are very effective on basically, hopefully, stopping things that these people are complaining about. Um, as far as a civilian going in and videotaping in the areas that are allowed under the CFR, no.
Are things going great? Are things going smoothly for you, NJ Diver? Everything works great. Your government
No,
is working. What
I've missed.
country do you live in?
Well, I don't know. Does the first two letters of moniker indicate where I live?
Yeah, yeah, I was born there, and I'll tell you, man, you're look at your rivers are gonna light on fire again, like it's the '70s. You remember that? That happened before, and common sense regulations are required for that.
Not
And how
in
do we find
Jersey,
out that?
but we.
No, I know it happened in Ohio, but it'll happen in New
But
Jersey. Trust me, it
yeah,
smelled
but
like fucking waffles all for throughout the
well,
'80s there.
how's this? Can you give me at least a few syllables? New Jersey has more Superfund sites than any state in the union.
I'm not gonna debate about New Jersey. Okay,
Let's
again,
get,
I was
yeah,
born
let's get
there.
back to postal. So let's get back to the whole debate while we're here. Um, what is the one thing I haven't touched upon that the two panel members haven't discussed yet? I will go first with Rogue, then we'll go with NJ. What's the points that you didn't really get across about this debate? And then follow up that with why they should vote for you, because we're in the final stages. The votes are getting close. This is kind of your last opportunity to let everyone know why they should vote for you. We'll start off with Rogue first.
Well, I'm not much for campaigning or tooting my own horn, so I don't know really why you should vote for me, other than the fact that I laid out the best best position that I could. I just what I want everybody to take away from this though is just that word, other. Okay, not all. There's a reason for that. Just sit around and think about it. It'll come to you sooner or later. You'll understand why I don't get trespassed from the post office. Uh, no matter if the postmaster wants me trespassed or not, they don't do it. So if you want to know the reason why, it's because of that word, other.
So I'm gonna go and ask that question before before NJ. I'm gonna ask it to Kimmy actually, because Kimmy is a supporter of the 1A movement. Am I okay with saying that, Kimmy?
Yeah.
So can you kind of give us, after what you've learned tonight, where you're at as far as your vote, and do you think filming in post offices? When I always look at auditing and I always say, what's the change? Like, what are you going to accomplish? What's your mission? Like, what's your goal here? Why are you here and what's your goal? What do you see as the goal with auditing post offices is my second question. And my first one is, who are you voting for and why?
Okay, well, I voted for Rogue because I have followed him now. And again, I must say, because he's in my, in the Southeast. New Jersey, I really have not followed him. But the reason Rogue, he will go in, he has a calm, articulate way of explaining to people, and will calmly wait for the police to come and explain to these people. And I think each and every time he does that, he's showing these citizens that it's not illegal. It's not illegal to film anybody. Whether you're in a post office, they feel like they're in a federal building, that they are just, they're guarded against being filmed, and that's not the truth. And We all need to be out there filming everything we see every
They're filming us.
day. Every single day.
So because we were at a little disadvantage, my professor, the Desert Sentinel, who I hope isn't mad at me after the Discord prank today, Rogue. I don't know if you saw.
Oh,
that.
right on. You're here, man.
I don't know if you saw that, Rogue, but I found a Desert Twin on Emo's Hollingworth panel, and I made half of Discord believe that it was Desert Sentinel talking with Lady Di and Emo.
Oh dear Lord. Oh dear.
Yeah, I thought that was a little crazy.
It looked just like him. So,
No.
Mr. Sentinel, I'm going to give you.
You caught me.
I'm going to give you the floor
You
first.
caught me.
That's Desert Sentinel.
I
That's
did.
the real deal.
I did. Of course, he's my professor, right? So of course I have the real deal. This is the guy I learned from. Me and him and a few other great folks exposed Mouse the other night. I don't know if you caught that.
I'll admit I learned a few things from him as well.
So I'm going to give the floor to Sentinel. What's on your mind and where are we at?
I only got a minute to make this statement. This business with the post office has always been a soft target for auditors for YouTube clicks and views. The reason I know that is because I was trained by High Desert Community Watch. Now, the one reason why this practice needs to stop is because of people like my 85-year-old mother who still goes to the post office. And she doesn't need to be involved with this business with the likes of people like KC Camera Boy, SGV News, and Silence Boy going in and trying to force their way into a lobby just because they think within their ideologies that they have a right to do so. Someone's going to get hurt, and that's going to be my 85-year-old mother. Okay?
No, get that out of your head, man.
Keep
Your
that in
freedom
mind.
is
It's not only
dramatic.
your right. It's not only your right that we're talking about here. We're talking about other people, the people who are there to do business. And
Yeah,
that's where I stand on it.
And
I don't
if you
ever have
notice,
I don't
Rogue
care.
and
I don't care how.
defended a.
I don't care
an
how
old lady.
cordial you are. I don't care
It's
how
not just being
cordial you
cordial.
are.
We actually
There's hundreds of others of
defended.
these idiots out there who are forcing the issue,
Right. So you think if we stop, they're going to stop?
and they're being
Listen.
vulgar, and they're being
Right.
vulgar.
They'll hold us accountable to everybody else's, behavior.
Well, you're part of
We're
this
talking to
genre.
each other.
You're part of this community. So you either call out the people for their bad behavior,
That sounds
you
like
GTFO.
a popular argument amongst our genre.
Do you think that looks like him, right? That looks
yeah,
like
that's
him, right?
me. You caught me.
Hey, you have a
You got me.
Russian tank, don't you?
I
Or
got it.
Russian
I exposed him.
APV?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cut of his beard's a little strange.
Yeah.
How's it doing?
It's in summer storage.
panel?
Cool. I also
All right,
remember you
I gotta
mentioning
get. I
that.
gotta get. Sorry,
Why
guys.
don't we try to find a better way to make money on YouTube other than doing this? Why don't we behave like Ryan, the kid that opens eggs for your kids, right? That is programming.
No,
That
I'm
is
just saying that
artificial
this
stimuli.
genre is very
It's well, you were saying that is the example to live by is that kid, that 7-year-old multimillionaire kid.
No,
Why do you think he's getting paid so much?
no.
Because they're programming your kids
No, I
to
was
have
pointing
an
out the fact-
artificial dopamine release in their brain so they can learn to grow up to hit the like button. How did I know that? Because somebody looked into it. And we have to do that.
Well, what I was
It's our duty, sir.
pointing out is how
And
what I
Dave
was
and
pointing out is
protected
how
a woman
a
about your
barn
mother's
owl
age.
since May. I was talking about how a barn owl since May video has had over 2 million views. There's other content on YouTube. The humorists
I'm not-
within this community, this genre of people discussing how many subscribers they had. Oh, I've got 20,000. I got 30,000. Well, I know bean sprouts that have 2 million.
He's right about
I know a guy
That's
who
what I
lives.
was pointing out.
I could throw a rock on his house. His name's Juke Squad, and he
Yep.
does trampolines into the ocean.
Yep.
I could do that here too if I wanted to, man, but I'm not gonna.
And his
I actually
brother-
challenged
his
him
brother
to
is
a
Tifu.
yeah, Tifu, the best Fortnite player on the planet, lives.
6,000 plus people in the live. I mean, we had officers.
And if you've heard of Mr. Beast, Mr. Beast went up to his window when he was playing and
Yep.
gave him $10,000 through the window.
he went
You
by
know, this happened right here. I can do all that gimmicky stuff, but what I'm doing is trying to ensure a better life for my progeny and yours. And it's not a bad thing. The way we do it
Well,
was actually
I don't need
in
your help.
defense. No, you don't. But you know what? That 85-year-old lady who was in the post office with us did, because the guy was cussing her out. And when the police came,
Who?
we told him, watch our video in Bal Harbor. Not Bal Harbor, Palm Harbor.
Oh,
Palm Harbor.
that doesn't happen during normal debates on CNN and NBC. I don't know what that was. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, the lady said to him, "Merry Christmas, sir," and he said, "You shut your mouth," talking through his teeth at her. And Rogue and I stuck up for her, man. So we're not there to be that guy, you know. You see that guy, and guess what? We documented that on film. Somebody asked me a really good ethical question: would you document a woman or someone reporting a rape in a police station? And I said, of course, because what if that was a false rape report? Wouldn't you want that documented? And shouldn't the police be obligated to give them the privacy that they deserve to give that report? It's not on me.
Right on.
So where are you, the desert, with your vote? Have you voted, or have you voted, and if so, who'd you vote for, Desert? He's having some technical snafus. HBR, welcome to the panel.
Appreciate it.
I have no idea who you're voting for, so I'm just going to give you the floor.
I'm voting for Rogue, man. You know, I've heard a lot of people expressing why they're going for NJ, and mad respect for NJ. Most of the debate that I heard from them two alone before this wild card of 20 guests or whatever that's happened at this point, but is that they support him because he cushions everything he's talking about with a greater knowledge, perhaps, and that's even, you know, debatable, of the entire poster. But it isn't relevant to what Rogue and even Wrights are out there doing. They know exactly what's pertinent to them in that situation, and standing on their rights, and always holding your government officials accountable that our taxpayer dollars are funding, you know, their salary. They shouldn't be this ignorant, right? And I dig the last guy that just spoke before I did, coming up with his rebuttal. But even the sensitivities of people toward their loved ones, and you know, this assumed right of privacy in a public setting when nobody's being antagonistic in those situations and trying being helpful. My vote's for Rogue all day. That's about all I got to say, though, yo. I've been smoking on the wee weed and
Me too, my
sipping,
guy.
sipping.
Me
Peace,
too,
peace.
my guy. So my biggest question about what Desert said, and I want to ask the panel, and there are multiple people who say this: your feelings don't trump my rights. NJ, what's your response to a comment like that? And then we'll go to Lee, HBR, Kimmy, and then Wrights. Your feelings don't trump my rights. What's your response to that, NJ Diver?
That's, to a certain extent, that's true. The human emotions don't trump someone else's rights. And the interesting part about it is we're all human. Yeah, we all make mistakes. I don't care who you are. You're going to make a mistake or 1,000 in your lives. It's just the degree of that mistake as to whether or not it's criminal or civil against someone else, or even against yourself to a certain extent, can be criminal. Suicide's illegal, right? So it's a question of, if we don't all understand that everyone is human, everyone makes mistakes, but that's why we have laws. That's why we have federal statutes, federal regulations, state statutes, state regulations, local ordinances, county regulations, county laws. The interesting part about it is you all out there as citizens of the United States have an input to your representatives, to the bureaucrats that write these things. And by the way, the Code of Federal Regulations was not written by Congress. It was written by bureaucrats. And the process is that they write them, they propose them in the Federal Registry. You have a certain amount of time to give public comment. And then once that public comment is taken in, reviewed, revisions are made to the regulation, and then a final rule comes out. Or perhaps if the revisions are big enough, they'll come out with another public comment period. I know because I participated in that. I've had my handwriting in 2 different regulations for 2 different states. I've participated at the state level in my legislature by going to
Right on.
hearings. I've participated in local townships by going to municipal meetings.
So,
And it's
Rogue,
not just this genre that I'm involved in.
Rogue, when you're in a post office, do your feelings trump my rights?
Well, thank you for asking me. And if I could just take a moment, I would like to read a quote from Thomas Jefferson that deals specifically with your rights and people's feelings. And it is this: the only security of all is in a free press. The force of the public opinion cannot be resisted when permitted freely to be expressed. The agitation it produces must be submitted to. It is necessary to keep the waters pure. No government ought to be without censors, and where the press is free, no one ever will. It is true that there are occasions when the freedom of the press is abused, just as some individuals abuse their right to speak and write their sentiments freely. Okay? The founders knew.
Here, here. Right on, TJ.
The founders knew that us keeping watch over our servants might create agitation. But, what is the greater purpose served here? Let me give you an example. Lady, sweet old lady. She works in Illinois at a municipality. She's the treasurer. She's the treasurer of this place for 30 years. It's a town she was born and grew up in. The lady's well known and loved. Everybody loves her. She's a treasurer for 30 years. Come to find out, she stole like $50 million from the town. Okay? We have to understand, like NJ said, people are people. Okay? The scumbag next door to you is likely to be the same scumbag working in Parks and Rec. Okay? The scumbag you work next to at work could be the same scumbag working up in the clerk of court's office. Okay? If there's a scumbag in regular society next to you, you can believe there's a scumbag in government. There's a counterpart to that scumbag. Okay? So if
You might think we're scumbags, but we take people's feelings into consideration a lot more than a lot of other people.
Right. I mean, as far as auditing goes, we're definitely on the tamer side of things. And definitely I'm not there to hurt people's feelings. I'm not there to catch your little kids on camera. If I catch a citizen on camera that doesn't step up and say you can't record, it's merely by accident. I'm not there to go in there to record citizens. That's definitely not why I'm there. And most of the times, again, if you don't make yourself known, you really aren't known. But it's a simple fact. It's a myth, just like the myth of you needing a social security number to work. It's a myth that people need permission to take your picture in public. I mean, and maybe I'm more akin to it because I grew up in Orlando when there's a lot of tourists down here in the 80s. The Japanese came through in the 80s, a lot of tourists. They had a lot of cameras and they were snapping pictures all over Central Florida. And and Disney and stuff like that. So maybe we had just a little bit more of a leeway of an education on public photography than someone in, say, where the fuck am I, Iowa? But the simple fact of the matter is that there's no expectation of privacy in public, and let me reiterate that. Okay, let's say
Right
you're
on.
sitting in your backyard. Okay, you're sitting in your backyard. You got a 6-foot high privacy fence around your yard. You want to lay around in it naked. Well, it just so happens that your next door neighbor has a 2-story house, and his window overlooks your backyard. He takes pictures of you laying naked and sells it to the newspaper. And guess what? That's totally legal. Okay.
Man has micro penis.
So you can
Right.
change your vote. You can change your vote. I'm showing everybody that NJ has a 7-point lead right now. So
Shocker.
we're letting everybody know in chat to vote. We're going to close it in about 10-15 minutes. Rice Krispies, if I'm in a post office with you and I look at you and I say, with all due respect, don't film me, what do you say to me?
That I didn't come in here thinking that everybody was going to be cool with it. I'm not fooling myself or anybody. But when you learn something, sometimes it's uncomfortable. And I try to make it as comfortable as possible. If you want me to nibble on your ear, I'm not going to do that.
Do you always?
It's gonna hurt a little bit. It's gonna hurt a little bit.
Is it always a firm no because you want an education to happen?
Love
No,
bites. Is that a hard limit?
it depends on the location and the situation. Every situation is different, especially the location in a post office. We can, get accused of being argumentative and causing a disruption if we're just explaining ourselves, So I like to now say, just don't bother me, please. Act like I'm not here,
So NJ Diver, you're in a 7-point lead right now. You've heard a lot from the opposing side. Break down and unwrap to everybody what your thoughts are. How do you think? And pretty much the votes are still going on. Let everybody know what you think, NJ Diver. Poster 7.
Well, I have to agree with Desert Sentinel. The post office is low-hanging fruit for the auditor. They have that poster 7. They have the CFRs. And you can get away with doing it in those places that are delineated in the CFR and in poster 7. You get over by the retail area where people are exchanging their mail and packages and perhaps receiving packages because they won't fit in the post office box. And they're also having their checks out, perhaps making out check for postage or stamps or whatever else. They may have their credit cards out. You don't have a right to film any of that.
I have a right to film my transaction. And if I want to go to every one of the post offices in this beautiful country of ours and collect 25 cents at each one in worth of stamps, 4 3-cent stamps, 4 2-cent stamps, and 5 1-cent stamps, and then mail a letter to the Postmaster General after I've collected enough and tell them, this is my right to do this. Do you have a problem with it? They're going to write back and say, no, it's the law. It's your right to do this. And anybody who has a problem with it needs to stop giving you a problem because that's what the law prohibits.
Yeah, and do you know how easy it is for them to change that code of federal regulations?
Did you change it, sir, with all your legislation that you've done in your local chapters?
You have no need to change it.
Okay, thank you. We concur.
All right, quick
We win the
announcement.
debate.
Quick announcement.
Forget me stalking.
Hold on, NJ. I'm going to do a quick announcement, then I'm going to pass it back to you. To show everybody, because there's a lot of questions on people voting wrong, using the wrong letters. Jeff is here. Hello, I miss you, my guy. I haven't talked to you in a little bit. That's how you vote for Rogue. My 2 Beagles is going to show you how to vote for NJ. That is how to vote for NJ. All lowercase. Make sure you put the vote, ! Vote. Bada bing, bada boom. NJ Diver, I'm going to give you the floor to respond, and then HPR, go right after that, my guy.
Hey, can I ask a quick question before NJ starts? How many times has any of the post office auditors zoomed in on any of the debit cards or you're using that as a silly excuse. That's not what they're doing. So just add that into your explanation, please.
In any of the CFRs that we've mentioned here this evening or poster 7, does it list allowing you to film in the retail area? The silence is deafening.
Oh, you're asking us if we're allowed to film in the retail area? And I
Yeah.
think Rogue already answered that the retail area is right there in the lobby. So yes.
No,
Yeah.
that is not the retail area.
Well, where they have it in our post offices here in Florida, I don't know how it is up there in New Jersey, but I've seen the racks in several post offices that I've gone to in Florida and Georgia and Kentucky and where else did I go? Anyways, there's a like those spinning racks, and they have you
The
can see
vast
actually
majority-
News Now California picked up a $100 gift card that Rogue Nation just happened to have $100 bill in his pocket, and he spotted him because he didn't have the cash to buy it for me as a thank you for staying here in my house. Remember that, Rogue?
Yeah.
That they have gift cards there. You could get all kinds of gift cards. He gave me an Amazon one. That's the retailer, right in the little wind around line that you go into buy stamps. That's the retail / lobby area.
Is it zone retail?
They don't have signage or anything like that, so
No,
I don't know
and-
about their zoning.
In the postal operations manual, it specifically states that those gift cards and those greeting cards have to be kept in the lobby. It specifically uses the word lobby with where those cards are kept.
Where else would you keep them? I mean, they're usually right next to the passport stuff. Like you line up
Let
for
me know when you're
passports
done.
at that one spot. Go ahead.
The vast majority of post offices in the state of New Jersey that I have frequented, and I've been in quite a few because of my job from, let's see, 1980, I believe, to 2014. I've worked in post offices in Northern Jersey and Central Jersey, and majority of them that I have worked in, the retail area is separated from the lobby, if you will, and the post office box areas by lockable doors, which are open during business hours. My personal post office that I receive my mail from has a separate retail area behind doors and has all of their material in that retail area. None of it is in the lobby.
I've been in some like that.
I
What's your
couldn't
point?
understand a word.
I said I've been in some post offices that are laid out just like that. So what's the point? That I'm only allowed everywhere before those locked doors? That when I go into those locked doors and I'm in line to buy stamps, I'm not allowed to record?
Is there anything in the CFRs or poster 7
That's a question.
does
not
the
an answer.
word, and I ask you, is there the word retail listed anywhere that has to do with photography?
No, because again, like I stated, we don't go into a retail section. We go into a lobby. And we know it's the lobby because the lobby is the only place where they're allowed. Okay, listen, it's the post office operations manual. There's only one place that they're allowed to keep those cards at, and it is called in the postal operations manual the lobby. It's
Yeah,
not
why would
called
they
the
have it out
retail.
back?
Listen, it's not called the retail section. It's called the lobby.
And that's while open.
Where else would it be? Again, answer that.
When do I get to answer the question? El Sancho said he was giving me a turn two of, feelings versus rights.
Floor's
I'm
yours.
going to be quiet.
Could you ask the question again so I can reframe my response?
I might have forgotten the question.
Okay, it's all good. It was something about where does feelings end and
Oh yeah,
rights begin type of thing, right?
it's a big debate we hear on one side of the fence. Why should my feelings trump your rights, and vice versa?
If you're going in to try to keep the overgrown, overreaching government accountable from even going far and try to reverse that, it's almost an impossible thing, right, to think on. But exercise your rights so they're not even eroded farther away when you're not being antagonistic and you're not trying to, like Roga said, it's incidental when the public's viewed, and that's not the intent. And to build up this argument against how you're wrong for doing these things when all you're trying to do is preserve our rights instead of letting them erode. And, NJ, man, I love you, brother, but I gain a lot of what you have to say and speak on. I grow from that too. But I think you're wrong sometimes in that kind of spin. Even when you start talking about recording the transactions or something, and we've all seen the videos and stuff, it seems like an evil spin that you're trying to spin on it. And I wanted to mention that some people that were up here, on your side, were a lot of times also throwing down kind of some valid reasoning, and then they say, but that's what the auditors do, painting a negative light on that. Auditor's a horrible word, kind of, right? It's just people out there trying to hold that accountability, and it seems like a sly way to throw that in there as a negative light on that. And maybe
Can I add
you're
to
like
that,
most
please?
of the maybe you're like most of the majority of people that are sheep that would prefer to live on the securities of fake as fuck. Sorry about my language. Promises by government. And
Don Lemon's in the chat. Don Lemon CNN is in the chat and just heard.
No way. He's the
I
cattiest
apologize.
CNNer.
He's been helping me.
I
with
don't
this.
really apologize. Free speech, baby, but essential. I hope I didn't break the parameters of your channel, but I'll hush. Yeah, I'm on a rant.
Hey, no, HBR, thank you very much. I just want to add on what he was saying real quick. One of the people who's on here, I saw him before I got to doing this, and he was complaining about somebody who was doing this wrong. And I actually started to show, hey, let me try to do this the right way. This is our civic duty, and I'm trying to do it the best way possible. It's like, how are you going to protest if you're not allowed to protest? We should be allowed to protest. We should be allowed to protest passively by keeping an eye on the government before they step out of line. There's something wrong with that?
We got a 5-minute warning for the votes. It is closer than closer can be. The votes have moved dramatically multiple times. There has been multiple leads between the two. It is literally going back and forth right now, which I want everybody to vote, vote, vote. If you haven't voted, you have 5 minutes to vote, 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 vote. All right. NJ Diver, what's your response to what HPR said?
Well, it's funny because what I'm living on right now is not just Social Security. I couldn't stay in New Jersey on the little bit I get from them, even though I've been paying into it since 1970. I've earned my retirement on the 40 years, 6 months, and 23 days I worked for the same company. I earned the pension, and I earned the 401k. That's what I'm living
Respect. My apologies on maybe a type of a backhanded comment. I'll let you continue, but I hear what you're saying. Right on.
It wasn't the swear. It was, I know you well enough that you like to bust balls. So I don't, but he's dressed up in a tuxedo, sweating with the makeup on. He's on a panel with a debate. He's got a dais and everything.
I don't own a tuxedo.
You know, a lot of people who watch us are retirees, and they're from the old school. Like, I had one guy, again, the guy that was threatening my wife and my children's lives, saying, I'm going to put your name on the internet. I'm like, really? Where'd you get it? None of your business. Did you get it on the internet? And he just didn't know what to say to that because he's just like so amazed by this new technology. He thought he could really get me, but you guys know my name and everything. Anyways,
he's the first one to take
aside
the
from
vaccine,
that,
right?
like, you know, you congratulations and enjoy your retirement, sir. That's you well earned, but things are different these days, and people, yeah, seriously, like we have the internet and we have YouTube, like that happens.
Yeah, that's funny. I was installing lines for the National Crime Intelligence Computer, as it was called back then, via
Okay.
telegraph. And
Okay.
the last thing I did when I left the company, I was putting in high-speed lines on fiber.
So that's okay, but we can't record the government back.
I could see George Carlin doing a total routine on that. I'm just saying.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
This genre
is
didn't
like
exist before.
you bought
The
a
genre didn't
$15,000
exist
3-bedroom
until after he
houses
died.
back then. You know, a brand new car was $2,000, and you know it's different today. And I'm not trying to say that you know you've had it easy. Of course not. Everything was a lot more rough for you back then, but things are different now. Is all I'm saying.
The only difference is there are more cameras in more people's hands than there have ever been in the history of the world. And there are more cameras everywhere.
And there are more cameras in the wrong people's hands than in ours.
Well, what do you consider the fact that there are more retail stores that have cameras inside and out than anywhere else in the world? Is that the government?
No, that's not necessarily the government in that step, but they can sell information to the government.
Right, and it depends on what business you're talking about. Banks are considered as instrumentalities of the United States because of the obvious importance of them, be it in like a national crisis, like a bank run. So, you know, a lot of them are tapped into the government, or the government's allowed to tap into them at basically any time.
So if you haven't heard, there's a 1-point lead. So this is getting down to the nitty gritty. We're 3 minutes away. If you haven't voted, vote. I literally created a banner announcing the winner, and I just had to create another one because that's how close this is right now. Over 50 votes. Thank you, everybody, for voting. Continually vote. Vote. This is a competition, people. Bottom line is there's no loser tonight. Bottom line. Nobody's losing.
And let me thank you. Let me thank you, NJ, because I always enjoy talking to you, buddy. You're level-headed, and you do good research, buddy. I always enjoy a conversation with you.
Well, the one thing that I was looking to prevent with the fan club and the Civil Rights Unite servers library that I've created is basically what happened to Minnesota Guardian. Are you all aware how many post offices he's trespassed out of?
No, but you know, I never was really a big fan of his style being very childish, and very confrontational. So, yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
Well, what's interesting with him is he came into the speakeasy, I believe it was that Indoor Odin's server last year, and was asking questions, which I appreciated from him at the time. And we all gave him the advice that we give everyone that asks the questions about the law, about this genre, and where your borders are and what happens to you when you overstep those borders. And this is the result. Granted, I admit, yeah, he's only 18, 19 years old, and he still has a lot to learn.
I think he might have just turned 19. And again, we can't be held accountable. I'm going to back up Rogue and say...
but next time you interrupt me like that, I'll just
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay?
I interrupt everybody. Don't feel special. Go
I
ahead.
know. You have the habit of everybody else that just loves bulldozing.
Go on, NJ. NJ,
Yeah.
go on.
The problem being is the way some of these people learn, and unfortunately it's now become the majority, is that they have to earn that badge of courage of a police rap sheet. And unfortunately for them, and for someone like Minnesota Guardian, who is of an age, who is still a teenager, it's ruining his life. And that's what I take umbrage to. Someone
I
who
agree.
comes into this, you give him the proper information, and he still goes out and does it wrong because he thinks it's exciting, because he thinks he's
Oh
going to
my
get
God.
clicks and views, because there's that little carrot on the stick there of monetization and donations. And the other problem is it's very short-sighted. You have someone like what's his name? They call him PayPal Patty. Um,
We know who you're talking about.
and
Who's
he's
now
now
Patrick?
Patrick. Yeah. I watched him when he first started. And yeah, he was a little timid. And then he got more arrogant as he got a few licks in, if you will, against certain police officers who knew where their boundaries were and just let him go at it. The other side of it is look at him now. He has got an unwed child uh, to be responsible for, and yet what is he out doing? Well,
Yeah.
how long
Yeah,
is his rap sheet?
let's judge that guy. Let's do that. But you know what? I interrupted you before to agree with you that Rogue was agreeing with you that we don't mess with that guy, that Minnesota Guardian kid. You're right. That kid, I was just thinking about that the other day. He's way too young to be doing this. I, on the other hand, don't have to worry about my business relationships knowing about the time I got arrested in February, but the charges are dropped. I could talk to them like a professional and they'll understand. And it's something I do on the side. It's activist journalism. But that kid, he should not be doing it. And people who are not responsible or mature enough, it's not that they shouldn't be doing it. It's like, go ahead and do it, but it's not going to work for you. You know, I'm not going to stop you. It's your right if you're a moron. And to add, it's like, yes, that kid I heard from another auditor he's an asshole. He asks for advice and doesn't take it. So we're in agreement there. You know, talk about us. And don't make us disparage other auditors. If that's what this channel is about, I don't want to do that.
You
No,
I've done it
you
already.
mentioned someone's age. Are you familiar with the cameraman?
No.
He started at the age of 16.
Yeah. Oh, that kid that was like crying about a school project or something, even though it was summertime.
No. Yeah, not even. This guy's been at it for about 3 years now. He's
Oh,
out in
okay. I just saw that
California, I
one kid.
believe. Yeah,
But
he's out in
again, that's
California.
someone else.
And
We
All right.
have
he had the
our
maturity at the age of 16
Ladies
to
and
know
gentlemen,
how to do it the right way.
we have a winner by 4 points. Rogue Nation. Congratulations, Rogue Nation. You have won tonight's debate. How do you feel?
I feel crazy. I think I'm going to go to Disney.
This was so close. I literally had to make both graphics to make sure, we had the correct winner, because literally the final few minutes was neck and neck. And, that's, he won. I'm asking about you. I don't know what that means. I clicked the wrong thing. Rogue was voted the most option with 53.57% of votes tonight. But we don't have any losers. I want to give Rogue and NJ the floor to wrap up. I want to extend my gratitude and appreciation for the two of you being on for over 2 hours and educating and entertaining. That is what this channel is for. This channel is not for attacks. Before my first video, I got viciously, brutally attacked. I am one who wants to go the opposite route and educate and entertain. I don't know if anyone has noticed that so far, but that's what my platform is. My platform is building a bridge between pro cops and anti cops and seeing if we can find somewhere in the middle. My bridge, my other platform is separating frauditors from auditors and getting the bad cops weeded out and getting the relationships built between local law enforcement and the cop watchers and the auditors in order to get the bad cops out. That is what this channel is about. With that, I want to give NJ Diver the floor first to kind of wrap up and let us know his thoughts on how tonight went. And thank you again.
Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter about the winner, loser, what have you. What matters is that people get educated as to where the boundaries are for your Bill of Rights and your camera and your attitude and behavior at whatever it is you're going to go out and film. One of the things that I think you've noticed, or maybe some of you haven't, is earlier this year there was a group that was keeping track of all the different auditors and how many were being arrested in any given day. And it got to a point where so many were being arrested that the half a dozen people that were doing it got overwhelmed. And you've got somebody in the chat that was highly motivated and actually did a lot of the work. Desert Sentinel, I will give him all kudos and credit for what he did during that time. And I will tell you this, there are more and more of these auditors, frauditors, and astivists that are going to be arrested because they don't study what it is that is their boundaries. They don't study public, public forum doctrine. There's another doctrine I got involved in too. But when you overstep yourself and go into a non-public forum, you go into a limited public forum or designated public forum and do the wrong thing and cause a disturbance, you can and will be trespassed. You could possibly be arrested. And there are more and more of you that are gaining these badges of courage called a police rap sheet. And I tell you, if you're young, I have pity on you because there are hundreds of thousands of jobs you will not be eligible for once those bracelets go on and your fingerprints go on file. And I want to thank everybody involved in this. It's been very enjoyable.
Hold on. El Sant, no, I've never been arrested before. I didn't even know you asked a question. The chat has been bananas. I'm smoking weed. I'm trying my best to moderate. Anderson Cooper does not smoke weed when he does debates, so I'm doing something a little different. So no, I have never been arrested in my life, ever. Sorry.
All right. I'll step up there with my closing announcements there, and let me kind of rebut the whole badge of courage and stuff and everything. My criminal past was, again, my past 28 years ago. So I'm not out there looking for a badge of courage. What I do have is no fear of what they can do to me because I've been to that system. I know it's not like they make it seem on TV and such as that. So I don't have that fear of me. And trust me, NJ Diver is absolutely correct when he says that, once you go to jail, it's going to be hard to get a job. So you actually got to think for yourself instead of being like the job sheep that go out there and make other people rich. And you got to start your own company and do your own thing. So yeah, going to jail when I was young kind of kept me from doing stuff like working for a company for say $14 an hour for whatever, or working construction for $25 an hour out in the sun all day to where your body looks like leather after 10 years. So it does keep you from doing stuff like that. But on the flip side, you can create a company and create a job, and since you're the boss and you're the owner, you don't care that you've got a felony 25 years ago, and you can make as much money as you want and do your own thing. So, always try to think outside the box and always question what the status quo is. Whatever the majority's doing, it's a good bet that you want to head the other way, because people are stupid. If you don't know, looking at the people around you and the people you work with and the people that you see in the shopping centers, like people of Walmart, people are stupid. So the majority of people are stupid. So why would you want to follow what they're doing? Why would you want to think what they're thinking? So yeah, just open yourself up for a little bit more than what you're used to.
All right, let me give the floor to YouTube watcher and then right.
Real quick, one thing I got to say to Rogue, something my father taught me when I was very young: never underestimate the stupidity of John Q. Public.
YouTube, what the fuck is that picture?
How you doing, baby? Yeah, it's my cat licking his butt. I mean, I can change it if you want.
All right, no, I just want to make sure it's not like a dude licking his asshole. Like,
No, that's my YouTube
watcher sounds exactly how I imagined.
That is my YouTube moniker. That's the same thing I've been posting with all night in here. So
Yeah, but no, I've seen you. So what are your thoughts on tonight?
All I want to say is, damn it, you fucking people in the chat don't know the rules. That follow the rules. There's been so many, and it's frustrating. That's what I came up here to say.
Do you have any thoughts on the debate? I had to time someone out the first time in like 2 months, so I've been.
I've got thoughts on the debate. I think the Poster 7 lays out plenty of spaces legally where you can take pictures, and other than that, you have to get post office permission to take pictures in otherwise unposted or non-public spaces. I think that's okay.
Are you happy with the results of the poll?
I voted Rogue Nation. Yes, I'm happy.
All right, Rights, what's your thoughts on this whole debate? And kind of unpack it for us if you can.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a healthy conversation. I know NJ Diver and Desert Sentinel and a lot of other people feel strongly about it, and it's from a place of emotion. When you look at it legally, you got to look at it at what if you really wanted to do it yourself? Don't you want to be able to do it? Why not? Why don't you want us to do this? What is the real reason? If it's your 85-year-old mom, I mean, trust me, my whole life up until 2013 was my grandma, and that was the other half of my heart. And I know how emotional people are with that person. It's not our focus. Our focus is to make sure that she gets her check, Our focus is to make sure that you get yours, that your package gets delivered, that, the person who doesn't know not to send cash in the mail doesn't get, and how are we going to find that? We can't really see them catching them in the act. We're not going to do that. We're not going to see somebody.
Your son and daughter needs to get their birthday package from grandma and not have it stolen.
Right, but aren't you challenging Poster 7 when you turn your camera on and you go into that post office? Is your major...
No. Like I said, we always have, like the other day I was on vacation and I was camping watching a satellite being launched out of the Cape. And I passed by and Senator John Williams had passed away. And I saw their flag at full staff. And if you know my channel, that's one of my pet peeves. And it might seem silly to a lot of people, but it's important to me. So I went in there, and they were talking about, Will Smith cheating or getting cheated on in the back, and I overheard the conversation. You guys will see that video. But my purpose to go in there was to ask them to please lower the flag to half staff. It's not a big deal. If they would have said no, it would have been more of a video. You'll see. But I do have reasons. And we all have a reason. In every head, there's a world. That's something my grandmother taught me. So appreciate that. And don't be selfish and think that just because your job took you to a lot of post offices that were a certain way, that's how they are in the whole country. No. Or that your experience or that what somebody told you is the way that the whole world should work, or the whole country should work.
So can
The
we?
beauty of it is that we do what we want, and we shouldn't be told what not to do. We have a thing on the wall that says that you can't tell people not to do it.
So my final thing is, with this being such a heated debate constantly, is there any reasoning? Is there any meeting in the middle? And Jay, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to YouTube, and then we'll go to Rights, and we'll go to Rogue. Is there any meeting in the middle sacrifice where both groups can come together and just move the fuck on from this being such a big debate? Is there any reasoning? Is there any meet in the middle and say, okay, I think if this is how it's done, I'm all right with it, more than I am now, NJ?
Well, basically, what I see for the future is that if other people that don't know what they're doing, don't care what they're doing, do it often enough, and get in enough trouble, there will be a change to the Code of Federal Regulations. Like I said, it's not that difficult. Bureaucrat just has to have his boss tell him to rewrite it. They rewrite it. They get it posted in the Federal Register. If people notice, they can comment on it. If people don't notice it, it'll go right through and then go to a final proposal and become law. It's a little bit quicker and faster than Congress.
So, how, if not how Rogue and I do it, how would you suggest we do it? We're still going to do it. So how would it?
Well,
how should it, you're thinking of how others comport themselves, but how should we?
Well, I'll paraphrase a real estate phrase: behavior, behavior, behavior.
Is it how?
Behavior is not law, though.
Almost 20 years in real estate, never heard that. But
behavior is what? Feeling?
Location, location, location. I said.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, and restricted areas is not where we go in. That's the time, place, and manner. The place is
that
the restriction.
You go in.
Right. We don't go into the restricted area. So that's location, location, location. But we can see into it. It's the same as
interesting part is you are not the
in
majority.
a pool or peeing into a pool. It's a big difference.
No, like I said, you're not in the majority. And unfortunately, right now, there are people out there that are doing.
But the majority doesn't. The majority of the people in the post office aren't very happy. But the majority doesn't rule. The law rules. That's the problem you're not seeing. The law is on the wall. It already states in Poster 7 that you can film in these public areas. If otherwise, you need the fucking postmaster's, admittance. Other than that, what's the difference between a sidewalk or a police station or a post office?
Day before yesterday, I went to my post office and there was a woman who was like, "But you don't have my permission." And we spent 40 minutes talking about how awesome our civic right is. After that, we just got over an understandable apprehension at first. But that's what Rogue and I try to do, and that's what I liked about his method and why I joined him in doing this, because he inspired me to do it the right way. It's like educate people. It's not, glamorous. We're not going to tell you, oh, wow, that's such an amazing new thing. But no, hey, look, this and this can happen from this, and we have to watch out for it. Does that, make sense?
Right. And let me tell you guys what the biggest change I see coming from a post office video is. And that change is one of my subscribers sitting at home realizing, hey, I can actually question law enforcement. Okay? Because there's a lot of people out there that think that when an officer says something, it's automatically lawful and I automatically have to do it. A lot of change has come from my videos in the form of emails to me privately of citizens telling me, hey, I've taken your knowledge and the stuff that you've said and taught, and I've used that in my life personally, and it saved me from maybe an illegal stop, an illegal search. I just put up a video a couple weeks ago of a lady that's a subscriber of mine where she and her cousin was sitting in a car in a parking lot waiting on their other cousin, and the cops came up and harassed them. And because of the videos that she watches and the auditors that she subscribes to, she knew exactly how to handle herself. And these cops were definitely trying to violate her rights, and she knew how to handle that. And that to me is the biggest change that my videos provide, is the fact that people are watching them and becoming empowered and being able to say, hey, I can question the government. It's okay to question. I don't have
And the
to
government is
blindly
changing
follow
too.
whatever they say.
I was saying the government is changing too, man. I mean, my last video was a live stream of a car accident, and the cop was like, "Hey, are you Rice Krispie?" It's like, "Yeah, man, I really agree with what you're doing. You can check it out." And this was live. It was not set up.
So I want to wrap up with, again, extending my gratitude and appreciation to everybody on the panel. I want to thank NJ, who, surprisingly, I will say to Wrights, he has been outnumbered the majority of this show, which Wrights did say that he wasn't surprised that NJ was winning. So hopefully Wrights got a little eye-opener tonight on this channel and how
I am truly shocked.
friendly and non-judgmental this channel is. I don't know what else I need to do to prove that to everybody.
I hit the like button. I am now subscribed.
I appreciate
and I'm hitting the bell.
Oh yeah, I smashed it.
I am number
smashed it. Y'all know I
738.
smashed it.
Thank you. We did a body cam breakdown yesterday, and we broke down Jeremy DeWitt. Does anyone know who that guy is? No? Serial police impersonator who I
Oh, the
think...
funeral home guy?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. That guy. That guy's
He's
got
a douchebag. He's
Yes.
like a wannabe cop. One of those wannabe cops.
The police don't like him. You don't like him. You agree with the police on something. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where we can find a common ground. We have you two on tonight. We had two cops on last night breaking down bad cops and excessive force, and we were actually showing multiple police officers getting arrested. And
I agree with
I always
everything the police do that is lawful.
Yeah, we showed the bad of the bad for the police last night. And
Hey, El Sancho, can I bring up one little thing?
okay,
I don't go live very often, okay? But NJ Diver's been on my panel live more than once, right? And we get along real well, you know. But I'm a fan of Rogue Nation, and I'm a fan of Rice Krispie, and we can all be up here and be friends, and still disagree about things. And that doesn't mean we hate each other. We just have, disagreements, and we can debate things and still be adults about it, and gentlemen, if that matters.
we're humans at the end of
Dude,
the
you
day.
put together an awesome debate between Rogue Nation and Andy the gun guy. That was a great thing that you, YouTube watcher, who is like,
Yeah, baby.
dude,
You
I've seen you
remember.
on like some of my woodworking channels. I'm like, YouTube watcher, what are you doing here?
Hey, man,
If I
I
may-
get around. You know that. I get around, baby. Come
If
on,
I may
man.
interrupt for a moment, El Sancho, have you ever heard of what's his name? Sergeant Blue Bacon?
I've heard of Blue Bacon. He was covering Jeremy DeWitt a lot, but Sergeant Blue Bacon, no.
Yeah, he's got a Discord server called the Pork Powwow. He's got an entire channel on DeWitt discussion.
Yeah, it's crazy. Tomorrow night we're gonna go over the dumbest criminals ever, like the dumbest criminals. I'm gonna show you guys mugshots, and you guys are gonna have to guess what stupid shit these people have done. It's hilarious. We're gonna have video of the stupid shit they do, body cam footage of it. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be great. It's a mixture of things, We're trying to entertain you. We're trying to earn your sub. We're scratching and clawing to 1K. We're almost at 800, and bringing together both sides of the fence to meet in the middle and agree to disagree is okay without being labeled a frauditor or a troll or a piece of shit or any of that stuff. It's so common on other channels that this is the minority right now, and it needs to become the majority by letting everybody know we don't have to agree on everything to respect
That's
each other. as
exactly
humans.
what I was
Dude,
saying.
I'll tell you, I've
NJ
seen.
Diver's been on my little streams, and I respect these other guys, you know, and we can all disagree, but we have to get along. We're people. We're all here, you know. It's
I have
us
the
against
utmost-
blue, not anything else. It's us against blue, right?
I have the utmost bad blue. I have the utmost respect for Desert Sentinel. I really do. It was before I even started. I was watching him, and I just feel like he's been disillusioned because of some people doing it the wrong way, and we're not all like that. And it's
Just
kind
that.
of
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
not
an
just that with him.
inspiration to prove that we're not all like that to him.
Well,
I don't have to prove anything to anybody, but I really look up to him, and I feel his pain. That's all I have to say. I made a comment and I deleted it. I feel his pain. So
Well, I will put the olive branch out there. If you and Desert want to have your own debate on this channel, I can set that up.
I have no topics I would think about debating with him or anything. I mean, other than what YouTube is for, like making money on YouTube and stuff. It's really
I
not a big deal to me.
guys.
All right.
I gotta bounce.
Do you have anything you want to plug, Rogue?
No, sir, I do not.
And congrats and thank you. Does anyone have anything they want to plug before we wrap up?
Later, Rob.
Well, I'd like to inform everybody that once you do get those silver bracelets on, you are known throughout the country. That's the National Crime Information Center. Everything about you goes in there and never gets deleted.
All right.
Again, everything is already in there on everybody. If you signed up
Apparently.
for a genealogy
not
test,
that database. That's
No,
strictly crime.
That's
Okay.
fine. A crime database
Yeah.
should be it should be put
Right.
out for police officers also. And they should have a database amongst the police officers like, hey, this police officer had crimes in this city. Maybe we
Yeah,
shouldn't
and-
maybe we shouldn't hire them. Much
Those-
like Leon Valley
in
hires the
2009
criminal cops from San Antonio or whatever that is over there. That's
San
crazy.
Antonio.
Yeah,
in
that's
2009,
nuts. They
I-
shouldn't be hiring those guys.
Well, just to let you know, there's a whole series of states that are passing both police reform and pro-police legislation. It just depends on the legislature and whether or not their governor's willing to sign it.
listen
agree.
about
Well, I'm not pro left wing, but I'll tell you what, that's one thing they're getting right. Police reform. I like that part of the pro left wing.
Yeah, but you got to watch it too, because there's a couple of states that are going the opposite direction.
Look, but you're already talking about the dossiers. In 2009, what I was saying was Ahmadinejad went on his debate live on TV and said, oh, yeah, well, we have your wife on file. And it's like, is that who we are? Are we Iran?
What was his name again? Crispy.
Ahmadinejad.
Sorry.
What?
You pronounced it so well, man.
Oh, thank
That
you.
was good, man. That was
I
good,
try
man.
to respect everybody, even that tyrant.
My
Jahanwad.
question is, do you speak
Jahanwad.
Farsi?
Just know the fatwa. That's it.
Do you have anything you
Some
want to plug,
some
Mike?
people consider that Farsi, but it depends where in the world you are. If you're Persian, you consider it Farsi. If you're Arabic, you don't.
Can you let everyone know your channel, Watcher, and how do we find you? And then after that, Wrights, if you have anything coming up in the next couple of days, please plug it. We'll let Watcher go first.
Oh, my watcher is don't even watch it. It's fine. Watch Rice Krispie. That's right. Watch Rogue Nation. And you know what? To have a good time and see what's going on around, watch El Sancho. He's having great debates, and I enjoyed this one immensely.
Thank you.
You guys. So hit that like button, just so you guys know. Nobody else has said it. I said it. Hit the like button.
Yeah, go watch Honor Your Oath as well, or the Laura Shark. There's two people that have been doing it a long and really know what they're doing.
Laura was listening tonight, I think. She subs. She listens to a lot of the show. She might be on Ladies' Night tomorrow night as well. I'm going to try
Oh,
to...
hell yeah. Laura Shark, 100%. Yeah.
She's a friend of the channel. She's good people.
Yeah, I don't have much to say other than thanks for having me, and thanks for having me walk away with a different point of view. And I can't. I'm not going to do this perfectly. I'm going to make mistakes. So I appreciate you on the other side holding me accountable, because that's the, exactly what I'm trying to do. So
Yeah, if do me a favor though, stay in here and stay in StreamYards for a minute after he shuts down the feed.
I'm going to do a quick plug for tomorrow night's Ladies' Night, and then once that's done, we'll go backstage.